Hey, what is up, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Raph Esparza, coming to you live right now. It is 1:08 Best Coast time, and we are glad to bring you an amazing installment of the Grappling Hour, of which I'm the host of. Sometimes you forget that. I don't know for sure. Sometimes people who come to see the guest don't always give a fuck who I am, and you know what? To them, I say, welcome. We don't discriminate here. We love that you're here. Speaking of things that we love, why don't we get some love to our sponsor, our good friend over at No Gi BJJ Gear. Check this out. So that's the backside. But what's on the front side, Raph, you might be asking yourself? Pretty simple. Little rash guard here that says hashtag Corona Weight Champ. Because I beg someone to tell you you're not right now. I mean, at this point, everybody's like a little bit plus sized. So I'm not saying like people are fat. I'm just saying people are eating okay, given coronavirus and all of the things that we've seen on that side. So we hope that you guys would be able to buy it, give them some love. And if you use the promotional code Grappling Hour 15, you get 15% off of whatever you put in your cart. So before we get going here, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our guest. I last spoke with him at Ultimate Mat Warriors Dose on air, and I'm stoked that we are going to get to catch up today. Here's why. Over the weekend, he put in a phenomenal performance over at Chael Sonnen's Submission Underground 17. Now, I got to tell you, I know a lot about this kid. I've seen him compete for years. He is awesome. He's a great person. Behind the scenes, he couldn't be nicer to people. And when I see him compete, I know you are going to get a great match. So one of the things that we were able to do is we were able to see him compete over the weekend. And again, surprise, surprise, dude was a monster. So ladies and gentlemen, we always try to give fair time to those people who do amazing things. And I am so stoked to bring him on the show for the very first time and the opportunities to get to speak to him and find out what he's been up to since we've last seen him. Because, he's done a little growing up. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our good friend, Mr. Chase Davis. Chase, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good, man. Thank you for having me back on here, dude. It's great to talk to you again. It's been a minute.
It has. And, I always laugh because, I see you guys around. So it's just one of those things where I don't get 40 minutes to sit here and talk to you and go, tell me about what's been going on, as opposed to being like real quick, Chase, how you doing, man? How's everything going? You good? Okay, good. Go kill someone. All right, I'll see you later.
Well, man, if I see you at a tournament, man, you're the man of the hour. You're talking to everyone all the time. Everybody loves you. And yeah. So
I don't know that everybody loves me.
I would say most of them do. If they got a brain on them, they know they're the man.
I appreciate that. I would tell you that one of the guys who I trained with one day, I came back and, everybody talks about what nickname, you're supposed to get.
Yeah.
And I don't compete, so I don't really have a nickname or anything. And he once came up to me and he goes, Raph, I think you're the mayor of jiu-jitsu. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I just feel like every time I see you, you're like sitting there kissing babies and just being like, hey, everybody, so good to see you. And I go, man, that's so funny. And I told him, I go, yeah, I hate most things like that, but mayor jiu-jitsu has a ring to it. I'm okay with that.
You're an excellent ambassador for the sport, man. Like we need a personality like you to make less interesting people like me seem interesting.
Hey, shut up. You have not only always been interesting on the mat, but you're such a good soul off of the mat. And I remember once, I saw you at Ultimate Mat Warriors, and I just told you, I was like, I want to interview you. And you were kind of looking at me like, I don't know if I want to do an interview. And I go, I don't care what you want. I know what I know. And I think when you are an observer of jiu-jitsu, sometimes we know things that you guys don't, because the mission and the goal is always get out there, win, do a great job if you can, but win and get out there and put on a good show. And for observers, it's so important that we always acknowledge those guys who go out there and do this hard work, because there aren't 50 people who are reporting. There aren't 60 people, pushing you aside and being like, hey, Chase, give me the exclusive. So when it's just me out there, I want to make sure you guys know that there is love and that you guys are doing really incredibly great things. So speaking of which, there was no crowd this weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get into twisting on over to our good friends over at Submission Underground. How did this opportunity come up, man?
Well, man, like since I'm up here, like in the Northwest and I'm in the gym, I train at the same gym that Chael trains at whenever he does train, like my name has always been in the mix. I've been in there. I've been on SUG 4 or 5 times now. I was part of their brown belt tournament a few years back, and I had 3 matches in that. And I've done a couple other tag team matches. So yeah, that's 3 separate appearances, but 5 different matches. So it was very nice to go out there, and this is my first time getting like a solo match, like no tournament, no tag team or anything like that, but to get out there and go at it one-on-one with someone. So that was really cool.
Let's stop right here. I forgot that you did the tag team, but I didn't.
2. I've done it twice. I'm a tag team champ, baby.
Now, here's the thing. The tag team element to me is about as close to the knowledge I have because it knows pro wrestling. Yeah. So how much time did you spend trying to keep someone when you were practicing from being able to make a tag? Because I feel like that's the real big difference between people who are good at it and not great at it.
Yeah, we spent a little bit of time in the cage that we had at the gym, like kind of playing with that whenever it was me and my friend Howie. Now, me and Bobby, whenever we did it, like we live across the country from each other. There was 0 preparation. But yeah, with me and Howie, we definitely practiced a little bit. Just about how to play the edge and stuff. But honestly, for me, like, I just want to go out there and grapple. I kind of forget it's tag team. So like whenever I was in there, I'm like, I'm just here. Like I got an opportunity. I got a platform where I can go out here and grapple. So that's what I'm going to do. I try to not play too much of the tag team strategy, because then I feel like it's not as much about the grappling, which to me that's what it's always about. But it was very fun to prepare for. I'll put it that way. I remember it was me and Howie. We were going against Austin Vanderford and one other tough guy, like to prepare for this. And like I will say that having to drag Austin across the cage is much different than whenever I was going against someone a lot closer to my size.
I just love the fact that there's a nonsense element of it that
yes,
I really appreciate the showmanship of it. It is silly.
It's very silly.
I would say that you guys put on a much more entertaining thing. Just putting in the effort made it a way more entertaining endeavor than when it's a main event and you see Vinny and Nicky Rod and you go, let's never do this again.
Yeah.
Because at its core, it's pretty entertaining when you got a crowd there. So hopefully they'll bring that back more when they have a crowd, because without a crowd, it just seems like, yeah, let's not.
The crowd's energy off of it is great. Can you hear those dogs? Are the dogs?
It's perfectly fine. If people can't mute out dogs, then they shouldn't be watching my show.
Okay, cool. It's the neighbor's dog. But yeah, I'm outside. I had to come outside for this. But yeah, like it's definitely entertaining, and feeding off the energy from the crowd there is awesome. Like I went for that big slam, which kind of they shared around a couple of times, and like that was definitely for the crowd. I probably wouldn't have gone for that if it wasn't for the crowd. But
it's a little bit harder to promote tag team grappling when we're just kind of telling people like, we do social distancing. Jiu-jitsu, what?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's not a socially distant conscious event, that's for sure. But I would definitely get down in there to defend my title as the world jiu-jitsu tag team champions.
Do you ever have people who want to challenge you? Because I always wonder if when people at your gym look at that title, or they look at you and they go, hey man, I got a buddy here. We could settle this right now.
Yeah. No, we haven't had any challengers yet, and if they did, it would be hilarious, because that would be awesome. I would love a challenge to the tag team title, especially if I can get Howie in there with me, or Bobby, or whoever. I don't care. It's fun, and it's a great way to introduce people who may be more reluctant to watch a jiu-jitsu match to the sport, even though it's very silly. And if you want to get really down to it, well, this isn't actual grappling, you know how guys do, but it's I think it's a great window for people to start to like peek into the sport. And then if you can do some really technical and slick stuff in that 8 to 10 minutes or however long it is, who cares if you get one new fan? That's another fan for a sport that just needs more fans and needs more people watching, so these guys can make money.
I've been yelling at people because the very first time they did it, they took up a concept that we had always talked about on Verbal Tap, and to certain extents we did in like WWE BJJ and our skits. So when they put that up, I go, I mean, I feel like they're just stealing our shtick, but okay, let's watch them do their
Dude,
thing.
I remember those things too. Those things are hilarious.
Thank you.
Uh,
And I
it
looked
didn't go unnoticed.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, dude, here's the dumbest part. Those are some of our most successful videos. And we always get people who go, "Is this real?" And I just go, "You better believe it's real." Like
It's 100% real.
100% real. And I just get people now to the point where, because I've kept a good straight face, I've had, when I show up at gyms and I visit, they go, "Do you mind showing us how you do something?" And then they all circle around me like I'm instructing class. And I look at them and I go, "This is almost too much joke
Yeah.
to work with here." But yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll show you how to do the camel clutch.
Hey, man, I mean, well, it worked this weekend, so I'm not gonna mock it for any other thing like that. I do want to tell you this, though. I did see that we have a few comments here. The first of which is from Jacob Herlock, and it says Chase is ugly.
Okay, of course Jacob Herlock thinks I'm ugly. I tell Jacob Herlock to get back to the gym, bro. Get back to the gym. I love that guy. But
you got Fazo Romke that says, "Hey, Chase is a complete savage. He's never taken crazy time off. Very consistent and impressive young talent."
Oh, sweet. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that. Appreciate that a lot. Yeah, that's for sure. I definitely don't want any time off. I do not like being away from the gym. And it was like with my knee, my knee's a little bummed, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Yeah. But today I got myself out and I went and taught a class this morning. But whenever I was there, I was telling them, like, I like to train more than I like to win. And I love to win. The only thing I love more than winning is getting to train, So yeah, being away from the mats is no bueno. Being on the mats, I feel the best I can be as a human being absolutely is when I'm on the mats consistently. So I appreciate that more than any of the comments about my skills or whatever, but just the fact that I'm stay on the mats. Thank you.
I'm gonna bazooka through these though. Leduc, I remember this nerd. He was the first twister in Zapatero history. Boogie remembers.
Yes, Boogie does remember. I saw that dude this weekend, and he's so nice. I want to be like, man, you twisted me. It was OT. It wasn't regulation, so that's not as bad. But yeah, that son of a bitch twisted me, and he did it all with a smile on his face. I can't help but have a beer with him after.
Man, I gotta tell you, there are certain people who are highly skilled in certain moves. And it's just like when I saw this weekend with Maximov's match, where if you're in a team and you do EBI overtime, I think that's significantly harder because they have the lapel.
Yes.
I just think to myself, when we ran tournaments out here in California, and I said, "Hey, guys in the gi, we're going to do EBI overtime." And I'm kind of like winking at them like, I'm trying to give you something fun to do. And they look at me like, "I don't know how to do EBI overtime." And I go, "You have their back."
Yeah.
I can't do more for you. Like, you should have bow and arrows all of the time.
Yes.
So anyway, yes, that's not important. What is important is, let's get to talking about how the bum knee came to be. I'm going to suspect that had something to do with your match. So where did this match get pitched to you, and how did they present it to you? Because again, we established that you are around at the place that Shale occasionally trains at, but that you're also on their radar. So why this time did they say, "Hey man, you would be a good matchup for this guy"?
Well, to be completely honest, they had offered me a couple of matches over the last couple of sugs, but they kept offering me. I don't know if they thought my weight was higher than what it was. They kept offering me Maximov. And I'm just like, I'm like, listen, if this is the only match you got, I was like, I'll do it. But if I can get somebody within 30 pounds of me, like that would be preferable. So they finally, I guess they had thought that I was sitting around 85 or 90 when in fact I'm around 70, 75. Gotcha. And they finally hit me back up, and about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think I was in Kentucky at the time, because I went back home for a little bit to see my family. And whenever, as I was about to head back, they hit me up and they said they had a guy from Idaho, Kyle, who was walking around 70. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So that was kind of the extent of it. Like I said, I would go against Maximov, but I would prefer to have it in my weight. I saw him the other day. I stood beside him. I was like, he's a big, strong man. He's actually about to fight my friend Johnny James in the LFA, one of my teammates, in a couple of weeks too. So, and that's at 205. So I'll stay away from the bigger guys for right now,
Bro,
especially with all my knee heels.
I've interviewed him. I've watched him compete. He's deceptively big. That's the
Oh,
whole thing with him is that, he looks like normal size on TV, but then like I saw like all of his fight photos, all that sort of stuff. So when I was doing my research on him, I was just like, yo, dude, you're kind of yoked. Like some of the people who might have seen you just in the gi might not know
he's
you
a
don't
tank.
look as big as you are. Like you're still a big guy,
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's a tank, and he's a very good athlete on several different platforms, and that's one thing I can appreciate about a guy like Maximov is he'll compete in the gi, he'll compete no gi, he'll do MMA. Like in any athlete who's willing to put themselves out there and diversify themselves like that, I think is even more impressive than someone who just sticks to one lane, um, you know, and keeps going. But yeah, got a lot of respect for that guy. But yeah, I want to keep it where at least I have a less likely chance of getting smushed.
Well, think about it like this too. And I mean, it's a recognition of getting older and saying, like, I can put on a more exciting fight with someone my size. If you put me up a couple weight classes, then that's the appeal. It's not exactly let's see how competitive these two like weights are. It's just kind of like, dartboard, this guy and this guy.
Yeah.
And there are definitely appeals to that, but I know your style. It's nothing short of exciting. It's just, all right, just give you the chance to do what you do best.
Yes, exactly. And like I said, I said, anybody within a 30-pound weight range. I was like, that's fine. I'll go. Now,
Which, by the way, is still a significant amount of weight.
yeah. But dude, I train a lot of my training partners up here. They are bigger, they are stronger. So I'm used to that. Definitely, I'm rolling with bigger guys on a daily basis, and like that's kind of why it was cool to go against Kyle. Was like a lot of the dudes I've been training with this before this match were 190, 200, and just tanks. And to get in there and feel his weight get elevated a little easier, I was like, okay, like this feels a lot easier than what it's felt over the last few weeks getting ready for this. That's for sure.
So they pitch you him, the guy from Idaho. One thing I know about you is you don't look up a ton of tape.
No.
Did that at all happen? Did you just go into this match cold then?
I watched a little bit of film on him. There wasn't a lot that existed. There was a few matches in the gi from a local tournament, and styles can vary between gi and no gi. I felt like I had a pretty good idea of what he may try to do, but I watched it one time and that was it. I sent the tape to I sent the film to my coaches, and they pretty much just told me to go out there and do what I do, and to try to play my game, because I don't like to think about what my opponent's going to do. Now, if my opponent is a specialist in one certain move or something like that, that's different, to prepare for that. But I didn't see anything that told me he was a specialist at any certain submission or style of passing or something. So I went out there and I tried to go in with the mentality that I'm just going to make them play my game. And luckily, that's what I was able to do.
So let's talk about that. Talk me through the match.
So I knew I was going to go out there and go for a flying heel hook. Like I knew that I was going to go out there and go for a scissor takedown. I thought he may be heavy on that lead leg, and I've been doing a lot of wrestling. I've been working on my wrestling quite a bit, and like backstage, I was like doing a lot of shots and stuff. And I knew we were all in the same warm up area, so I kind of wanted him to maybe think that I was going to look for that. But man, it's a submission only match. The takedown doesn't do much for me besides get top position, and I feel like I could get to the top position with sweeps with less energy exertion. So went out there. Oh, phone fell over. There we go. So go out there and went for the flying heel hook. Didn't get it. He got his hips back really quick. I've rewatched that a few times, man. His hips were super quick, and that was great work by him. And then he went for my leg, and I managed to regain my balance, get my leg back in the middle. He had me loaded up on his shoulder, but I got my leg back into the middle and went to pass. And I got pretty deep on the slice, but he had his arm wrapped around, and I went to kind of pick him up and go for a back take, but about 75% through the back take, I realized I wasn't going to get it. His arm was in too deep. So I kind of just quickly bailed and disengaged and was like, like it's very early in the match. I'm just going to get back to a safer spot right here and not chase this scramble down too hard. And then I managed to get the half butterfly and elevate him from there and get the sweep, and the submission.
That's pretty dope, dude. How'd you feel afterwards? Because again, I do want to bring this up. I wish I had gotten a photo of this, but we do a policy on our fight companions where we cheers and toast those who get finishes within regulation, and you did, and I was going to toast you. And first things first, I don't know if you know how you looked, but you definitely had a serial killer look for a split second.
Yeah.
Okay.
That lies within me. It does.
Okay. Because the first thing was just you going super cold and being like, and I go, who's this kid? And then right afterwards, when I was about to just go, all right, Raph, just toast him and see what's happening. So I'm like, hey, man, you did a great job. Congratulations. And right as I do that, you immediately go into like, when I go, holy shit. Yeah. This is what's going to happen. He's going to kill someone.
I blew my mom a kiss. I told her I was going to blow her a kiss, and they kept the camera on me for so long that I started feeling awkward. And I'm like, I don't know what to do here. I finally asked them if I could leave. Like, I was like, can I leave now? They're like, yeah, you can. I'm like, okay, good. But yeah, I blew my mom a kiss. She asked, I told her I would do that before the match, and I remembered right then. But yeah, I'm a very nice and sociable person, but sometimes whenever I get in there, like I get to let that that more angry side of me come out a little bit. And I'm never angry, I'm never upset, but just emotionless.
It's you are doing a sport where there is an inherent athleticism that sometimes requires you to go a little bit deeper, especially when they match you up with somebody who's equal size, equal talent. So the competitive edge is sometimes what helps you get the win.
Yes.
I'm not saying any of that's bad. In fact, I don't even think, other than me giving you a little bit of shit for looking like a psychotic killer, it's all that bad. It's just you added the kiss at the end, and that's when I was like, hi, local authorities, Portland. I'd like to report my friend Chase. I don't know what he did, but it might have been something. I'd look into it.
Well, I've been working striking since January. I've been working with a coach. His name's Robert Velarde. He's a very successful coach. And like he tells me, he's like, just be a psychopath. He's like, whenever you're in there, because I do get to where sometimes I am a little too laughy and sociable. He's like, look, he's like, in those 5 minutes or in that time, he's like, you're a psychopath. He's like, and look like it and act like a psychopath. And I try to, I've been taking that seriously, and I also feel it translates better over to my life. It's easier to be nicer whenever whatever meanness or whatever I've got in me, I just let out in there, and it's never personal. It's emotionless, which is where I function best, is if I take emotion out of it, good or bad.
So I've worked with some people, especially recently due to the pandemic, where I'm like, well, I can't go grapple all the time. That's normally my trick to staying a little bit healthy and keeping in shape. But I'll do some boxing. And every person I've worked with on like either strength and conditioning or boxing, I have to give them the introduction to working with me. And I tell them, I'm like, hey, you guys know friendly host Raph? When I play a sport and I'm really trying to give my all, it's not jokey. It's not funny. It's me saying, I really want to make sure I'm not wasting your time. So I'm going to give this the best effort I can. So if you see me get really silent, or you see me get really hard on myself, that's the proxy that happens with it. So I know what it's like to go somewhere else. And it's funny because they go, it's just weird. You're not jokey. You're not this. I go, because I just don't want to fucking waste your time. Like, why would I come in here and tell you jokes? I'm not paying you to come tell jokes. Like, that's not the way this works. I come in here, I want to dedicate my craft, and I want to show you I take it seriously and that I appreciate you. And I go, so I've gotten better over the years at navigating that. But it is very funny because, my wife will tell them, they'll be like, yeah, he's a little different, and it's not like he's an asshole. It's just, understand that's where he has to go.
Exactly. I love what I do, and nothing makes me more happy. Nothing makes me laugh more or more sad. But I take it, this is our craft, and we take it very seriously. And when it's time to learn, or it's time to compete, or it's time to go, or whatever it is, like there's a switch there, you know. And like at ATT, when class starts, there's no more joking around, and everybody's having fun. Everybody's having a great time. But like we're there to learn. We're there to get better, and like I said, whenever it's go time, it's go time. And outside of that, like I love to laugh. There's nothing I like more than being happy.
Yeah.
But there's that switch there that it's important to find.
Well, it's one of
And
my favorite things is when people look at me when there's like jokes in a class and they'll like turn to me and see if I've got like something I want to add on to it. And I go, no,
no,
like,
and
bro,
and
it's the instructor. I'm not going to introduce or interrupt them.
yeah. And of course we laugh and stuff and we have fun, but there's just a certain vibe that takes over the room once the clock hits 12:30. It's a different vibe than what you're going to feel right before or right after, and I
Yeah.
think that's conducive to success and growth.
Yeah. Well, you win, you end up getting the whole little, they give you the little medal, they bring you on over and get a nice photo of you. Do you start to feel a little bit more at home once that's happening then and there?
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember there. Well, the first thing I was like, I looked at Heather and I'm like, my knee is popped. Like I don't know what the hell just happened to my knee. Like it was very odd. And then they're taking the photo of me, and it took them a minute to get the camera right. They had to take like 5 takes before they got the camera right. But I just looked at Heather and I told her, I was like, look, I come to perform. Like I come to put on a show, and it was very surreal. I went out and I grabbed my stuff and I talked to a few of the dudes that were about to go. I think I talked to Pierre and Ethan very very quickly, and then I got out of there because my knee was hurting and it was starting to kick in, and I'm like, I need to go get somewhere, get some ice on this or whatever. But yeah, it was a very very cool feeling. It's great to win, and it felt good in those moments after. That's for sure. You
Did you
know.
figure out what did go wrong with it or what did happen with it?
Well, I was playing from the half butterfly position, where I play from all the time, and for years I've played from this position against whether it's heavyweights. I was FaceTiming Jesse Ray Childer yesterday. For those you don't know, ADCC vet, go buy his instructional on BJJ Fanatics. But one of my dear friends, and we're talking on the phone, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, how many times have I played this position on you with you putting pressure on me, and my knee's been fine? And somehow in those 80 seconds, I went to elevate, and I guess I elevated from a weird angle, and my knee popped distinctly like 4 times, and me and him heard it. Like it was weird, and like I said, I've never had that happen in all my years of playing that position. No telling how many hours I've spent on that right hip lifting people with my left leg, and you know, I don't know. It just cracked a few times, and I went to the doctor. I'm probably going to get an MRI next week, but it's looking like definitely some damage to the IT band and the meniscus, as well as to the back of the knee, possibly in the posterior horn. But I'm none of the like major CLs, not MCL or ACL. So that's very positive. I'm hoping maximum of 2 months, but I guess we'll get it figured out.
I mean, that's what I first saw. It kind of came to my attention. So when I saw that photo of you, I just go, okay, I didn't know that happened to you. So how were you able to focus if you knew something had kind of gone wrong or awry during the match? Like, how were you able to maintain that focus? Like, was there anything different that went through your head when you knew, like, hey man, I got to get a finish here?
Well, I heard it more than I felt it
Mm-hmm.
because the adrenaline was so high. But it was like this is happening in the finishing sequence. So like as I elevate him and it starts to pop, and then I took him over, he fell to his hip, like I got the sweep, and then I backstepped. Um, Honestly, I was already in the sequence that I wanted to go to finish, so I didn't panic too bad. But if it got past that point and he survived that position, I don't know how it would have felt, but I do know that the adrenaline was very high, and I didn't feel much until that night, until
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't sleep because it was throbbing. But I mean, by the time I was even home at 5 or 6 o'clock or whatever, like I'm walking around my house and I'm on the phone and like nothing's an issue yet. So it's not it's definitely not the worst knee injury in the world, that's for sure. So that's what I'm going to hold on to, is that we'll get this healed up. I got a great doctor who knows me really well, like both the mental and physical aspect of what's going to be best to get me back up, because I definitely feel that a positive attitude and being confident in in your road to recovery contributes to you healing faster. So I definitely think I just got to stay on top of the mental aspect there, and just do whatever I got to do to get back and ready. And I guess I'll have a more official diagnosis next week if I do go get that MRI.
Well, absolutely. That does change how I look at this photo now, knowing that you're probably sitting there gritting through a little bit of knee not feeling greatism.
Yes. And like I said, I'm not as tough as I seem. I really didn't feel it that much until especially until Monday morning, and I woke up and I was like, I can't wait to go to the gym, and I'm gonna go see all my homies and they're gonna congratulate me and I'm gonna be the man of the hour, and I can't move now. I can't get out of bed. So there was a come down from because I was on a 3 to 4 week high, man, heading into this match, in the sense that, like, for the first time in my life, I've really like been consistent with like yoga and like breathing methods. I've been playing with Wim Hof stuff and other various breathing methods, and like waking up every single morning and doing yoga. And then like I do all this and I get the win, and then the next morning I wake up and it's like my whole routine for the past month is just gone. I can't get in the floor and do yoga. I can't go to the gym. So it was a little bit of a come down, just like getting the dub, and and then not being able to move too well the next day. But like the preparation was great. Like I felt great leading up to it. Like that's what I'm missing the most, is I can't get up and like stretch, but I can still breathe. I can still do my breathing. But the yoga has been huge for me lately. It's physically and mentally. It's
I
been
got to
great for
ask
me.
here because is the yoga brought on from, adapting to COVID? Is it something that you were just interested in doing because you said, I want to try something new? Where did that come from?
Well, I've always been flexible. I did Taekwondo when I was a kid, so I've always been like, a flexible kid. And as I did jujitsu, obviously, especially if you watch my matches when I was younger, like I've played very much upside down. I love going inverted and stuff like that. And I've always enjoyed stretching, and I played with yoga like a week here or 2 weeks there over the years. But over the last 4 to 5 months, well, I'd say the last 3 to 4, but especially the last two, like I've been doing at least 1 or 2 sessions a day and actually sticking with it long enough to see good results, not just a little more flexibility here, but just like full body improving, like my breathing being better, my sleep being better, and my more of a like I eat better whenever I'm on that track too. And it's basically just been a matter of, just like anyone has to do with jiu-jitsu. I always tell any new beginner who comes in, I'm like, look, I want you to stick with it long enough that when the next new person comes in and you get that tap and you get that feeling, that just stay that long. Just stay that long, and then you can go from there. And that's kind of what I did with yoga. Is I just stuck with it long enough until I could see some true results. And now I'm definitely a believer, and I'm going to start taking it even more seriously as I recover from this injury.
That's awesome, man. I ended up downloading Yoga for BJJ once I had less options for training.
Yeah.
And I just said, okay, let's see what we can do. And I've been finding it's been very helpful to my back, and doing that with a little bit of strength and conditioning, specifically trying to target my lower back, which has always been problematic. I found that it's been good. And so I've just tried to make that a part of my routine. So I'm glad that you were finding that, because I know the benefits that could come for the recovery.
Yeah.
And especially with whatever you're going to find as an issue there, you may have overcompensation happening because some part of your leg is requiring more attention, so that maybe it goes to the
Yes.
other side. And I find that yoga and those kinds of strength and conditioning things can be very helpful to make sure you don't just become imbalanced the other way. So
yes, 100%. And I've got my doctor too, like a lot of the exercises and stuff that we do as well. It's not yoga, but it contributes to that same thing. It's all about balancing out and, uh, you know, basically making the body move as one unit instead of a bunch of individualized parts, but everything is working together. And I do less strength training now than I ever have. And I do lighter weights than I ever have yet. I'm the biggest and strongest I've ever been. And all it took was me getting rid of my ego and just immersing myself in that process of like, okay, like you just have to trust the doctor here. Like your ego tells you you have to be going super hard all the time, pumping weights in order to get bigger. And once I finally trusted the process, I saw that that wasn't the case, and I've seen great results.
Yeah, my strength and conditioning guy will ask me at the end of a workout. He's like, "Would you say that's moderate, hard, easy?" And I would just look at him, and I was like, "I don't know. Like, I don't know how to gauge it right now." I was like, "You haven't hit me make a maximum yet,
No,
so I don't know how to level it." And so he just goes, "All right, I'm just gonna put moderate then."
yeah,
I go, sure, whatever you feel. And I
yeah,
told him like it's gonna take me a while because, much like you, I've given up the concept of saying, "Listen, dude, these don't have to be the heaviest weights. It just has to be targeted. And
yes,
you can target certain areas. You're going to build up better strength over a longer period of time, and you're going to be able to do it forever, as opposed to a shorter term. Here's a heavy weight. Let's see how many times I can curl it up."
exactly. And I've seen that type of training translate well over into being able to control another person, which is what we do. And in the end, is there's a lot of different ways we can go about it, but whether it's striking or whether it's wrestling or whatever, we're just looking to control another human body. And I've found that a lot of the stuff that yoga has been showing me, and a lot of the exercises I've been working with my doctor. Shout out to Dr. Q at Move Better Cairo. There's locations in Portland and Vancouver, Washington. He's awesome, but I've seen that translate really well over into grappling, and grappling specifically, but also into I'm a newbie to striking, but there's a lot of concepts that cross over.
How you liking striking, man?
To be honest, man, I absolutely love it. It's been so much fun. And I feel like in a weird way, it's made my grappling better because I'm not thinking about just grappling all the time. Like I feel like sometimes, I get really overwhelmed just thinking about grappling all the time. But like I did a lot of striking leading up to this match, like at least 2 or 3 times a week. I didn't spar much, but like, you know, uh, doing at least 2 or 3 times a week with my coach, and I've got a few guys that we work with up here in Vancouver, and but I absolutely love it, dude. My coach is incredible, and I got a lot of good guys around me. So I know that if I immerse myself in that process and try to get better, that that I can do it. So it's been fun though. It's very intriguing as a martial artist. Like it's different on the mind. It's different movements, and I love that. I love to learn. I love to learn more than just about anything. So to be propelled into just I've gone into one door. I went into the jiu-jitsu door and I've gone super deep into it, but to open another door now and just see that there's a completely different dimension to this game is it's very interesting for the brain of a martial artist, because I've been doing martial arts since I was 9. This is not just a match, or it's not just a fight. Like this is a game to me, and I love to learn how to play the game. So
I'm so curious that I feel like your past few months have been similar to mine, which is, again, I think it comes from, in my particular case, I think you are just a lifelong martial artist who goes through periods of, hey, I want to learn this skill. One of the things I tried to set out around Corona was I want to support my friends in these areas who can teach me a skill that I wouldn't normally have the time to learn. So I was like, hey, man, I'm going to call a couple of my fight friends and say, show me your boxing style. Like, show me what it is you're doing. And the best part for me is there's no pressure because it's not like I'm sitting there going, oh, I got to fight in a month and a half. It's just
exactly.
me saying, I just want to learn. I'm not really doing anything crazy about this. I don't have any misconceptions about this making me super great at it. It's just, I feel like these are extra little things I put in my wheelhouse of being able to explain and talk and converse with people on shows like this, because every element that I've done in my grappling that gives me a taste of understanding what you guys do makes us speak a similar language, which I think is very helpful to people who want to listen and who either want to learn it or know about you guys and when you do it. So I guess the only question I would have though is, between the wrestling, between the striking, between obviously your great background in jiu-jitsu, are you looking to transfer to mixed martial arts at some point, or is MMA?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's the next move. And honestly, Sunday for me felt like more of a mental preparation for what it's going to take to step into the cage. I looked at it more as like that's definitely what I'm heading towards, is towards doing a fight. When that will happen, when my coaches will think I'm ready, I don't know. But like all I can do is just keep showing up and learning. But that's definitely seeming like what's going to be the next move is I'll be fighting out of American Top Team Portland.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's going to be a great camp to build upon because, you know, for years, you've built a very nice jiu-jitsu resume. And you mentioned having a little bit of that in your background, and we'll get to that in a second. But I just love the idea that, you know, you're building for a skill that you say, hey, listen, it might not be next week, but
No.
in 2-3 years, I'm going to really appreciate the time I put in right now, because that's when I feel like, even if I'm 2 or 3 fights into whatever you're doing at that point, you're going to look at it and say like, hey man, if I didn't dedicate that time and really focus and harness that energy, I would have just made things all the more difficult for me later on.
Yeah. And you know, throughout the quarantine, you know, and since the virus started, like I grapple all the time. I'm gonna grapple no matter what's going on. It brings me a lot of happiness. But a lot of mental energy and a lot of mental focus has gone towards striking over this. I'm like, this is a unique time to really. There is no competitions going on. I don't feel this timeline where like I need to go have a match and grappling or do whatever. Like no, there's no timeline at all. Time's not real anymore. And what I want to do at this time is focus on my striking. And you know, and I've done that to some degree. And you know, but I've been doing everything, man. Like that's between teaching and between doing some wrestling as well and jiu-jitsu all the time, like, you know, and strength and conditioning. Like there's a lot going on, but a lot of my mental focus has been towards striking. You know, I find myself finding that love for it that I found that I had when I was first started jiu-jitsu and I was a kid. You know, the difference is I'm an adult now, but I'm sitting in my mirror and I'm thinking about stuff and visualizing things, and it excites me because that's the way I felt about jiu-jitsu whenever I first started, and I still do. But you know, I know it well enough now that I don't need to. I don't have to sit in my room as much and think about it. But it's like getting a new girlfriend or something. You know what I mean? It's like, wow, I've been doing this same thing for 9 or 10 years now. I've only been grappling, and to open something else up and to start finding joy and stuff in that it's a very exciting thing. Like I see where my brain's going, and I like it. It's very appeasing for my mind.
I got to be honest with you. I think that one of the best skills that you have is a good attitude. And I feel like that can take you a long way, especially with your camp. I'm pretty sure if I'm a coach over at ATT and I see you go, hey, I want to learn some striking. I don't know as much as you on it. I'd love to know more. And seeing that attitude, it can take you a lot of places and it can take you there fast. So I love where that's at. I want you to keep working on it. But I do want to ask, where does martial arts begin for you? Because you mentioned, did Taekwondo is what you said? Is that where you were starting your mixed martial arts journey?
Yes, I started Taekwondo when I was 8 or 9 years old in my hometown, and actually, I got a black belt at 13, baby. So I'm technically a Taekwondo black belt. And then, so basically, what happened from there is my brother started to get into the UFC, and he was watching, you know, he was watching Lesnar, and there was kind of that era, you know, when Lesnar was popping, and he told me about Lyoto Machida, who at that time is a karate style black belt, and I knew that he had a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So my whole thing is I wanted to be a UFC champion. I'm like, I've got a black belt in karate. I'm like, all I have to do is learn jiu-jitsu now. So a bunch of stuff, you know, it unfolded. I end up meeting Warren Brooks and Joe Bays and get hooked up with them, and then it's just kind of gone from there. I'm still looking to get that ground black belt. So you know, but that's how it started. Lyoto Machida was my inspiration as a martial artist initially. He was what motivated me to find jiu-jitsu and learn how to do that.
Have you gotten the chance to meet him yet?
No, I have not, but that would be quite the honor. Him or George St. Pierre would be, you know, with current day me, my biggest inspiration is definitely George St. Pierre. I love, yeah, like I admire that man very much. But those two would be incredible for me to meet.
Oh God, that does make sense. I always thought now I can see back photos, you with a Hayabusa too,
Yeah.
rash guards. Yeah, that checks out. Like George St. Pierre to a T. Because I would always like see like whenever I think about you in like a rash guard, I think of you with like a Hayabusa one with like photos that we've had. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I guess he would like GSP. I guess the question that happens next is, when did you know that you fell in love with grappling?
It didn't take long. I played football throughout, throughout middle school, and I did pretty well. Like, for a scrawny white kid, like I was doing okay for middle of nowhere Kentucky in football, and like I. I knew I started falling in love with grappling whenever I didn't want to go to football anymore, but rather like I wanted to go practice jujitsu. And I don't even remember this conversation, but my dad talks to me about it. He said the biggest thing for him, because they didn't want me to quit football, is is whenever I told him, I'm like, Dad, I love to practice jujitsu. Like I love playing a game of football, but I love to practice jujitsu. And and sure enough, it just kind of ended up. I remember, dude, whenever I lived in Kentucky, we drove 50 miles one way every single day to train. It was a hike. And what happened was, it started, I was limited to 2 days a week because I couldn't drive at this point. I could go 2 days a week. So that's what I did. And then eventually it became 3, and then it was 5. And then, it just got more and more and more. And I was surrounded by great people there at Nice Guy. And, it just kind of went from there. It's crazy how it all unfolded. Because I'm from a very small coal town in the middle of Kentucky, not the middle of Kentucky, southwestern Kentucky. So, to be out here where I'm at right now, it's Vancouver, in Vancouver, Washington, like it puts things into perspective, man. That what martial arts has done for me goes so far beyond what anyone will ever see on any camera. That's for sure.
Interesting. That's very, very interesting to hear. What does your brother say about you in terms of your growth? Like your brother is the person who kind of put on those first UFCs for you to watch. What
Yeah.
does he think now? And did he ever at all join you at all in practicing it?
He practiced very, very little whenever I was starting. Like, but he knows little. He's a huge fight fan, and he's my biggest fan. That dude is one of my number one supporters. Him and my dad, they're huge supporters of me. But he can't wait for me to go over to MMA. He can't wait, dude. That is where it started. The initial reason for starting jiu-jitsu was to do MMA. My 13-year-old me, that was my reasoning. So to see it come full circle, it's kind of cool for both of us. But yeah, he can't wait for that MMA transition. But he's proud of whatever I do, though. He's very supportive.
I mean, that's got to be pretty rad in one sense, and on the other sense, it's got to be like your brother going, "Yeah, that jiu-jitsu trophy is nice and all, but for real, when are you making your UFC?"
Yeah, like really, dude. Like, when's it gonna happen? And he's right. And at this point, I don't know. With all of the virus and stuff that's going on, it's kind of hard to tell. But for me, all that means is it's just more time to learn and more time to grow by the time I step in there. So I try not to put myself on a timeline. I did that for many years, and it led to me being in nothing but a negative headspace. I got to do this by then or this by then. And people would tell me, Chase, you're only 20. I'm like, well, look, dude, I'm still 7 years deep in this game. Like, you know what I mean? I may be 20, but I've invested a lot of time into this. Or, now it's almost 9 years. You get what I'm saying? I don't look at my age. I look at how long I've been in this. So I don't know, man. It's exciting to see where the journey's taking me. But I definitely have the right team around me if I want to make something with MMA happen.
I want to get to that in a second, but I do want to point this out that, again, as the same way that I feel like as an observer, an interviewer, and a guy who usually does post-fight analysis with people, sometimes the fighters come out and they're just like, I lost, blah, 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 I won, I'm in my space. I feel it's the same way with you mentioned with timelines, because I can't tell you how many fighters or jiu-jitsu guys I've talked to after a match, and they'll be like, I'm not here. Yeah. I'm not where I want to be at. And I look at them and I go, I'm older than you. I know things are going to happen for you that you don't know are going to happen yet.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a patience to it. So I think one of the most mature things you can ever do is know for yourself that that timeline is kind of, it's good to use to help motivate you,
Of course.
but it doesn't mean anything if it doesn't happen then, because it doesn't change the parameters. What changes is your capacity to succeed. And when you realize that you can kind of use it as a good motivator and use it as only that, then everything becomes way more prevalent for you. So I'm very excited that you already have that clarity now, because I guarantee you that will pay off in dividends. And we're still talking, man, you're still young, you're still doing great things. And I think that you've put together a very nice resume for the Submission Underground people consistently. So I think that's something to look forward to. Let's talk a little bit about how you made that switch, though, because one of the things that is really cool to talk about is the fact that you had a team that you loved over in Kentucky, and then you realized that you needed more and you need to go out and do something for yourself. So talk a little bit about how you were able to come to that decision to move all the way out to the Northwest.
Well, man, it kind of just came down to me like wanting to get out and explore the world a little bit. That's for sure. And up here in Portland, I live in Washington, but I'm just gonna probably just say Portland. I had my former coach Warren Brooks, who was up here, and and he and I come up here and cross train and stuff, and I've competed and trained across the country. By the time I was 19, I'd been nearly to every corner of the country competing. And I got to Portland, and I'm looking around and I see these amazing trees. I'm looking at them right now, and I came in the summertime, perfect time to come. It's beautiful, and I was just like, man, like I could live here. And I, you know, about a year later, I had some life experiences that just ended up leading me to like, hey, man, like don't waste time, like just go for it. Like you can fall flat on your face and not make it or whatever, but like you have to go for it. Like there's no sense in not going for it. So that's how I kind of ended up out here. I had a little bit of with Warren, I had a strong connection here, and I trust that dude more than just about anyone. He's been with me since literally day one, and I made a couple of friends up here. And I just took the gamble. I came up here for 3 months. I moved into the gym the first 3 months. I lived inside the gym, and that was a great experience for me because I got to know everybody really quickly. I became part of the team a lot quicker, and and then it just kind of went from there. I love the atmosphere. I love all the opportunities. All the things I can do up here that aren't accessible. I mean, dude, my hometown didn't get a Taco Bell until like 10 years ago. That's not an exaggeration. Like there is no Starbucks in my hometown. Like that's not a thing. So to be out here, it was just a great change of pace, and I felt like it fit my personality a little bit better too. Just it's a little more free, it's a little more easygoing, and there's always something to do. And basically, I have the opportunity. I can stay in the gym from morning until night if I want to, and like I didn't have that opportunity back home. But man, I had such a wonderful team and such wonderful friends and family. Like it was not a move where I was like, I got to get out of here. It was very hard, like, and I still make those adjustments now. Like I miss a lot of people, but I thought that it was good for the direction I knew I wanted to go as an athlete and as a human being, that moving out here would be a great experience for me. But dude, I can't wait to go train with the guys at Nice Guy again. I mean, those dudes built my jujitsu to what it is. All the leg locks and stuff like that, man. Like that started when I was 14 years old with Joe Bays and Warren Brooks, you know, uh, pulling me to the side to show me. And then next thing I know, I'm 16 and I'm winning adults divisions. And this is all before leg locks are cool. Okay. We used to like, it was a different vibe back then. Like, I submitted my first black belt in competition whenever I was 16 and a blue belt, and I caught him in a heel hook. That doesn't happen now. Not very often. Like, people were more aware of leg locks then. And that says a lot more about that guy's lack of leg lock knowledge at that point than what I did know. Because I still feel like I don't know a lot. But yeah, like that's for sure. But, it was a different time. And I was able to rake up a bunch of wins really quickly as I was a teenager. And next thing I knew, I was 18 and already getting an opportunity on Zapatero. and kind of everything just went from there. Even a good performance and a loss, led to me getting opportunities on different platforms, and that's how I got the opportunity on Mat Warriors and how I met you.
Well, I mean, yeah, you would have met me no matter what. But
Oh yeah,
there's a very funny thing that I tell people, and normally I think that's part of the reason why I've done so many interviews as of recent is because I like to tell people I don't like to force meeting people. I observe everything. I have my eye on people, but I always like to go up to people in person and tell them because there's something weird. I don't want it to ever come off like, hey man, I'm just a fan. I just like this. It's like, it's a professional. When I
yeah,
message you, I hope you know it is an acknowledgement of your work. And there's
absolutely.
something about going up to somebody and saying like, hey, I watched you. You're great. That means I think a little bit more. And so now that we can't do coverage as much or we're not out there, I just started telling people, I was like, I still want to make sure people know that we're connected. And I have to credit Chael for keeping that going for Submission Underground because that's where we started doing all the fight companions.
Yeah,
And we started realizing, I said, I don't love every single element of what he has to do in terms of, do I love that he's kidnapping you and putting you in a weird silo and you guys aren't necessarily tested?
yeah,
No, but you guys are all grown-ups and you're making your own decisions. And
exactly.
what I decided was I said, you know what I could do though? I think jiu-jitsu needs a win. And I think that creating something fun where you can't always get with your friends makes that a necessary thing to replace for people. So that's why we started doing, these toasts to the athletes. That's why we started doing these jokes and watching it along because I wanted people to feel enthused and
Yeah.
excited about grappling. So that's how we've come to replace it. But I'm curious because you glossed over this very quickly, but I did want to go back to it because you mentioned you spent 3 months in this gym.
Mhm.
And I know so many people who can relate to this experience. I know so many people who don't know that they will end up doing that at some point in their lives. What did you learn most during those 3 months that you were living in the gym?
That I definitely really like having my own bathroom. Uh, uh, that's for sure. Uh, well, um, well, honestly, dude, I think what I learned a lot about was how an more MMA minded gym works because it is a more MMA based gym, and I was coming from a very grappling centered gym, and just seeing how things function, and that was my first time ever really all day being in a gym where people were in there from morning until night. At Night Sky, like all of our dudes, they worked, they were in school. We open up the gym for those 3 to 5 hours, during the evening, and then it's closed down. Like to be able to wake up and I remember the it was kind of weird for me to adjust because I would wake up and I would go down to brush my teeth and make my coffee or whatever because it's upstairs and the mats are downstairs. And like there's Austin, Vanderford, and Paige, and they do their morning workouts every, and of course now they're my training partners. I'm used to them, but at this time I'm a new guy, and I'm a kid, and I'm like every morning I'm waking up and I've got like my morning face like in my pajamas, like, and that made me adjust quickly. I was like, okay, like I'm gonna, I gotta be on it at all times right now. Um, but yeah, dude, I guess it just showed me like how you know I got to see a vision of like I'm like if I do the right things, like I can have my life be this where I am in the gym all day, and whether because I got to find a way to make money teaching and stuff. But like to see that right in front of me as soon as I got here, I'm like, this can happen. You can make this happen. That was huge. Like, because I had never been in a situation like that where I'd gone on vacations and trained with people, but like, like day classes. What you mean? I can train 2 or 3 times a day? Like, okay, yeah, like, yeah, this is incredible.
That's great, man, because I feel like that's something that a lot of guys who are on the come up, they get that opportunity. A lot of gyms go, hey, you can live in the gym. And they don't understand what that person is telling them. Some do, but the ones
Yeah,
who really get it know that they are being told, hey, listen, we want you to work your way up, but we really want to make sure that you're about this life.
yeah,
And it is an opportunity that the smartest of y'all do and then take something better out of it. And for you, it was not only just more opportunities, but it was a direction with a very clear presentation of every day seeing people walk in, do their training, and do it professionally. Like, whereas at Nice Guy, I am so positive those guys busted their ass at their job and came and did a whole nother job and a half with teaching and learning the craft there. So to actually take this fight game as just your sole profession is you learning how to navigate putting all of your eggs into this and making that work. So I applaud you for doing that and for making it work for you, because look at this. Look at you. You got like a Bob Ross background behind you now.
Yeah, I know, dude. This is my backyard.
It's a great thing. But it's also a testament to the hard work that you put in on it, and that you have people who are acknowledging it, and now you're a professional in that realm. So it is a true mark for you. I want to just switch gears here and ask you. So I'm looking at that headset, and you kind of tipped
it's an Xbox headset for sure.
That's what I thought. All right, so you got yourself an Xbox headset here.
Yeah.
So I guess that begs the question: what games are you playing?
Oh, Warzone, all day long, every day. I can't stop. I'm obsessed since the beginning of this whole virus thing. I didn't game for years, man, and like this whole thing just set it off, and now I'm definitely addicted. Me and my 10-year-old nephew and 2 of my cousins, who are actually triplets from back home, like we rock out all the time, and like that's just what we do. And I have found so much happiness in it, really, like reconnecting with people that I normally wouldn't get to, because I play some with some of my friends up here, but I prioritize, this is my opportunity to connect with my nephew. It's my opportunity to connect with my cousins I haven't, gotten to in a while. That's brought, that aspect of it has brought me a lot of happiness, but the game itself, it's very addicting, and I find myself trying to always draw like crossovers between that and martial arts. Like, oh, I should have cut better angles. Like, like it is what it is.
But there's a reason so many athletes, especially within our realm of combat sports, gravitate toward this. So I'll ask this question, but then I'll move on to my real one. But I mean, we may at some point organize a jiu-jitsu sort of video game tournament that
yes
needs to happen. Well, I didn't ask the question yet.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, I'm in if that is the case.
Okay, good to know. I just want to make sure that we put it out there. But I think the real question I was getting to is, I see how hype you're getting.
Oh yeah.
So now be very clear with me. Are you more competitive at the video games or at your jiu-jitsu game?
I would say it's pretty even, but I act a lot more cocky with Warzone. Like, my skill level is a lot lower than what I act like it is on my Instagram story. Just know. I may play 5 games, and then that one good play that I had after missing the snipe like 8 times, like I'll trim that out. And then you just see me throwing bombs on kids up in the hills or something,
Listen, dude, I love the fact that in jiu-jitsu, I've always known you as this nice, humble, hardworking kid, and that you're telling me you have this secret under life as a video game player where you're just like a villain. You're the heel there. You're just like, listen, kid, I don't play by the rules here. I cut corners.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I try to be a psychopath in video games. Like, now there are definitely real psychos on there, because like what lets me know if someone has mental issues or not is whenever they kill you, if they keep shooting your dead body. And like that happens sometimes, and I'm like, I can't do that, man. Like, that guy needs help. Like, like you're just shooting my lifeless body just relentlessly. It kind of bothers me. I don't like it, because it's a flex too, and I'm getting flexed on.
So here's the other question is, how is your 10-year-old? I see you obviously doing a social aspect of this, but I also have to understand, given that competitive vibe, even though he's 10, I would assume he's probably pretty good.
He's probably the best player I've ever seen. I mean, for those of you Warzone people out there, this kid dropped a 17 kill solo win the other day. Like, he's ridiculous. And dude, I mean, part of the reason I like playing with him too is because we do good. Like, like I can trust him to carry me. But yeah, the kid is extremely talented, and watching his screen almost gives me a seizure. Like the sensitivity is like so high. It's unbelievable. But yeah, like he motivates me to be a better Warzone player. And that's all I can ask for is just having people around me that motivate me to get better.
Wow, that's so great. I love that when you end up winning your first big UFC fight, you're gonna like thank your nephew and being like, I want to thank you for all this time I was playing Warzone, for making me a better martial artist, because by proxy it's weird to get into, but it helped.
Dude, if you don't think that I have rationalized in my head that playing that game, because I'm on my phone significantly less. I look at social media a lot less since I started playing this game, which is a good thing. But I'm rationalizing. I'm like, well, if you're going to be plunging your mind into technology, I'm like, at least this is working on your hand-eye. At least this is like some strategy involved. You got to use your head instead of just mindlessly scrolling. So that's how I'm rationalizing it. But yeah, it's incredibly fun, and especially while I'm about to be banged up for a little bit, like you better believe that you can find me. I'll be in the war zone somewhere.
I just love the fact that you're literally telling the people who are watching this interview, you can catch these hands.
Yeah.
You want to get them on Warzone.
You can catch these hands on Warzone, but if you meet me, I'm probably going to be really nice and want to give you a hug. Just a heads up. Like, I'm a hugger, okay?
Like 100% really is. Because, again, I can't emphasize this enough. Every time I run into you, you're one of the biggest class acts of all jiu-jitsu. You're nice in person. You're nice. It's not a facade. It's who you are. And I think it's part of the reason why you have so many people rooting for you. And, it's been a big credit to you. I want to talk about one last thing before we start to circle up here. And I want to make sure that people know that our man here, he's got some stuff that people should be looking at, because I want to make sure that people understand if they're looking to maybe use this time, learn some new skills, they can go find out some stuff. They can come see something about this kid over at BJJ Fanatics. Tell us a little bit about your DVD, man.
Well, man, I tried to, whenever they asked me for the opportunity to do something like that, first off, I was super honored. Like, that's a really, really cool opportunity. But second off, I wanted to do something that was uniquely me. There's a lot of instructionals out there with content that's great content, and my topic was leg lock defense. And there's a lot of great stuff out there on it. So I just decided that, I wanted to go a route with it where I was doing something that was kind of uniquely me. And it's a bunch of stuff I've been playing with too, and I just went through a whole little system of dealing with various leg positions. But, I try to, I want to be original, and some of the stuff in there, it's definitely like, there's always going to be fundamentals, but I tried to run with it in a direction where it was uniquely me. So I use a lot of like, it's different. Like there's a lot of, there's some stuff off the leg drag. I go over some weird leg entanglements, but, it's going to be some stuff you haven't seen before. I'll put it that way. And that was like, as a, and I look at myself as an artist, as a martial artist, like this was something that was uniquely me. And that's what I wanted to do with that is, introduce just a new way of thinking about it. There's definitely some fundamental stuff in there that is good for just about anyone, but also like it's got a little twist on it. So maybe some stuff you haven't seen to think about playing with, even if you don't do things exactly the way that I like to do it in those videos. Like, maybe some stuff on a conceptual level will make sense to you, like what I'm trying to do, and you can go from there. But like I said, that was just a really cool opportunity for me to do something that was uniquely me and have my stamp on it for the rest of the time. So like that was very, very cool opportunity.
And we want to give that shout out to our good friends over at BJJ Fanatics.
Absolutely.
Pick that up. I love the fact that they give you guys so many opportunities.
They're wonderful people too, dude.
Absolutely. To make some good money. And I want to make sure that if people want to go pick that up over the weekend, I believe they are having a
Labor Day sale.
So if you use the code Labor Day 2020, you can pick up whatever you want. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm not going to tell you what to buy, but I will tell you, you can get this for 35% off by using that code.
Yeah.
So
it's already a cheap one, guys.
I know.
It's already a cheap one.
Break the bank with Danaher prices over here, man.
Yeah, dude. Listen, I'm no John Danaher, but I am I'm a young strapling man who can show you a thing or two around a leg lock. So
all you had to do was just put on your instructional, just being like, yo, I've been heel hooking black belt since I was 16, son. Like, not everybody could say they were doing that.
Yeah. So, check it out. It's going to be some weird stuff. I promise that a lot of it you probably haven't seen because nobody else showed me.
Okay.
That's what I figured out after years of getting leg locked by freaking Bobby Emmons and Joe Bays and Jesse Ray. And, I mean, they still leg locked the shit out of me, but, I found a couple of ways to get out. I'll put it that way.
Hey, listen, that's a good testimonial because those guys are very good at what they do, and it's so great when people get to pay that forward, and you get to do your own DVD, and you get to show what you've learned on top of what you have. I've sure been taught by many great instructors like them.
Oh yeah.
Well, so I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to give the floor to you. I want you to take this opportunity to go ahead and thank whoever you wanted to thank for helping you get ready for this past week. And I just want to give you an opportunity to shout out sponsors, shout out anybody like that. And the floor is yours, sirs.
Cool. As far as my team goes, I want to say thank you to Professor Fabiano Scherner. He's the man that's keeping everything pumping at ATT, man. Like he's going on fights. He's getting us ready for grappling matches. This dude's a machine. He's always in there, and I'm very grateful for him. Warren Brooks, as always since day one. I love that man. He's got him and Fabiano both have instructionals up on BJJ Fanatics. You should check those out. Several training partners that helped me get ready. Ricky Simone was a huge part of the camp. Professor Don Stoner was in there a lot. I know there's some I'm forgetting. Taylor Johnson, he's about to fight Ed Ruth. I know we got in some rounds. So a lot of awesome teammates that helped me get ready. And then my team up at Vancouver Elite MMA, they, I coach up there. They did a lot to support me, allowed me to drill with them and work with them. And say thank you to my mom and dad, my biggest supporters, my brother, and my friends, Jesse Ray, Corey, Blake. I got several awesome. I just got a lot of wonderful people in my life. And lastly, to my sponsor, Feed Me, Fight Me. They've got dope lifestyle wear. I'm wearing all their stuff right now. Check it out. These shorts too. Like I wear their stuff around. Like not even not just because they're my sponsor. Like I like their shit. And they do a lot of cool stuff for the community as well, supporting veterans. So check out Feed Me, Fight Me. They've got a lot of great stuff. But other than that, Robert Velarde, another one, my striking coach. This was a grappling match, but he does a lot for me on the mental aspect. So, those are the main ones. I'm sure I'm missing some people, but, just a lot of everybody in my life, man. Super, super wonderful vibes heading into this and after this. And I feel a lot of gratefulness for most people that I have in my life. So, it was a great camp. It was great preparation. Got the win. I'm sad that I'm a little banged up, but, I'll find another way to get better. I'll get better in the mental aspect, or I'm going to find out how good of a teacher I am. Like today I went in and verbally instructed, and I'm like, if I can, there's a difference between a demonstrator and a teacher. Am I going to be a demonstrator or am I going to be a teacher? So that's what I'm going to find out over the next few weeks.
Well, good for you, man. And I got to tell you, I know we were talking a little bit before we went on air, and you were telling me you were so excited to tell me about all the things you've done in the past few years since we last chat, and you definitely have grown up, man. You've come a better version of yourself, and I'm so happy for you. I love seeing all the guys that we interview go on to do big things, and I know more is coming for you. So, hey, man, I just wanted to take this moment to just say thank you so much for coming on the show. Stick around. I'm going to talk to you off air, but I just wanted to say thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, the wonderful, young Chase Davis.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Before we get on out of here, let's just do a couple things. I want to tell you guys, number one, tomorrow we will be returning with another episode. I don't know what time. I'm going to have to figure that out. Sorry. We may have to figure out. It normally was supposed to be at 1 p.m. Our guest, the incomparable Keith Krikorian, said he'd be willing to do it earlier if it works for my schedule. I'll know that a little bit later today. So tomorrow, Keith Krikorian's going to join us. I want to say thank you guys for joining us. But before we head on out, give love to our sponsors. That is Dodgy Collective. They have some amazing artwork, amazing rash guards and shorts. Go give them some love, dodgycollective.com. Also, give some love to our friends over at Nogi BJJ Gear, because Corona Weight Champ, these things just don't happen, people. You can wear that and make people prove that you are not the best in the gym. Use the promotional code Grappling Hour 15 for 15% off of whatever you put in the cart. I think that's going to do it for us today. Oh, wait. Yeah, that's right. We just booked this. Friday, we're going to be talking to the winner of the main event of Wrestling Underground. So I'm very stoked. We wanted to extend a little bit of an invitation to the gentleman who won that. So I'm super stoked. I have never talked with this guy before. It's going to be great to give them some coverage, but Nick is going to be stopping by on Friday. That should be at 1 p.m. as well. So I wanted to announce that before we went off air today. So tomorrow, Keith Kokorian at TBA. But for right now, again, thanks to all of you guys for watching. My name is Rafa Esparza. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.